So each year for Halloween, I add to my costume. I used to try to make a different costume every year, but always ran out of time, had to throw something together last minute, and I never really liked my costume, never got it completely done. This year, being 2020, I added a mask. So with masks now being a more required thing, I figured it was appropriate. Don't worry, this isn't it. This is it here. Nice scary mask to go with the costume. Made pretty simply with just foam, some elastic straps, some paint, and I'll show you how I did that. So I began with finding some reference images. I found some pictures of some Oni masks that I liked. Once I got all my ideas together, then I drew out a template on a piece of paper. Once I got that drawn out, then I cut it out. I just got some 2mm craft foam. I just taped it down and then cut it with a nice sharp X-Acto knife. Foam tears and kind of pulls if the knife's not sharp. So we make sure that that is nice and sharp. The foam also dulls blades pretty quick. So for gluing the pieces together, the best glue that works is just contact cement. It works really well with the foam, and basically you apply it to each side of the foam that you're going to stick together. Let that mostly dry until it's just a tacky kind of feel to it, and then stick those together, and that's going to really hold well the foam. It soaks into the foam a bit, and then as it dries, it gets ready to adhere to itself to the other side, so the contact cement sticks to the contact cement that's integrated into the foam. Make sure to work in a well-ventilated space or leave a couple windows open. The contact cement has a very strong smell, and it's not the healthiest for you in a closed environment, so be sure to open a window, have a nice breeze through there, and it should be fine. Also close the cap whenever possible, just to help keep the fumes at bay, also so that the cement doesn't dry in your bottle. It was just a 2mm foam, so it's kind of flimsy, so it kind of helped to add a bit more structure to the mask by doubling up a lot of the areas, especially the teeth were kind of thin, and so adding that extra layer kind of helped. Also kind of taking a pencil and drawing around the areas where you're going to put the glue, so that you keep the glue within the area that you want it to stick to and not spread glue all over the place. Just to keep things tidier, easier, and then you don't have to wait so long for everything to dry. A lot of that is just a lot of rinse and repeat. For shaping the foam, is pretty straightforward. All you got to do is heat it up. I used a heat gun. You want to make sure when you're using the heat gun not to hold it in one place too long. It can melt the foam, burn the foam, so just kind of keep moving it around the foam to get it nice and pliable. For the detail of the chin, I used a X-Acto knife and cut into the foam, just enough to score it, but not to cut all the way through. And then what you do is you hit the heat gun with it, and it's going to melt those edges and curl them a little bit. So it gives you that little extra detail that you can add, but you can do that as much as you want. You can draw a little pattern with a pencil, and then just take your knife and just cut, like I said, not through the foam, and then once you hit it with the heat gun, once it shrinks a little bit, it's going to pull in and leave those details that you cut into the foam. Then I was able to kind of get back up and work on the nose. I took my time to draw it out a couple paper templates to try and fit the nose in place where I wanted it to be. Once I got that almost to where I was going to glue it down, I just didn't quite like it. So I went ahead back to the drawing board. So I recut that out and then stuck that nose in place by sticking the top part in first, wrapping that around to give me that curve, and then gluing down the bridge and the nostrils afterwards. Once I was done with that, just basically let all that cure and then took it to paint. I used Plasti-Dip for the paint. Plasti-Dip works really well with foam. It sticks really well, and also it's a flexible paint. So because the foam flexes and moves and you're gonna wear it as a mask, that's gonna move a lot and bend a lot. There was a few issues I ran into because the teeth overlap areas. It made it so that I couldn't paint underneath there, and I had to find a stick and kind of pull the mask apart so that those teeth were out of the way. And then also they were curving in and touching the other parts of the mask, so that was getting the paint all over in different places and rubbing it off on the front spots where I wanted it to be nice and clean. So I had to kind of, again, take that stick and push things apart. The paint itself goes on pretty thick. It's not like normal spray paint where it's a nice thin spray. I tried to obviously not go too thick that I would get drips though, because those will show up and just not look right. Once the paint had dried, I went ahead and attached the straps. To do that, I added another piece of foam just to glue those down on. The glue wasn't holding it very well, so I went through and sewed in each piece, and that held the straps in place nice and tight. It was difficult to kind of push the needle through the foam, but eventually, with a bit of patience, got everything taken care of. Once that was done, I was able to put that on with my Halloween costume, and only had a few trick-or-treaters come to my house. Also had kind of a family party for all the kids so that they could still have fun and get some candy. I hope this video helps you make a mask of your own, at least inspires you to go out and build something with some foam. Be safe with it, have fun, and don't stop trying. Yeah, better.